Welcome to episode 17 of Basically a Therapist, but without the degree. I'm Lauren Larson, and I'm just excited that you're here 17 episodes in. I wanted to do something a little bit differently, and I'm actually really excited about this because this is a sort of unscripted episode. And normally my episodes are incredibly scripted. And so I have bullet points. I have things that I want to talk about, but a lot of it's going to be like on the fly too. So we're going to see how this goes, but I'm excited to try this because I feel like I'll have a little bit of freedom, like creative freedom, to just say things on the fly. So buckle up, buddy. And before we get started, if you haven't already, hit subscribe. It would mean so much to me while I am trying to grow this account and just really get these things out there in front of people that need it. And so your subscription would mean the world, your like would mean the world, your share would mean the world, all of it. So I'm just excited. So today's episode is all about 10 things. And I had to narrow it down to 10, even though I have another list of other things that I want to add for another episode. We are going to start with 10 things that I want the 20-somethings to know. And so 20s, the decade of the 20s was an interesting one. You know, you're just coming out of adolescence, childhood pretty much. Some of us are coming out of living with our parents. You know, for me, when I was 20, I was married and going to school full-time, working full-time, and in the process of buying a house. And I was doing all the things so young, so incredibly young. And in my 20s, I have lived a lot and I've learned a lot, like a lot. And so if there were 10 things that I could tell the 20-something-year-olds, it would be these. You know, for me as a 20-something-year-old, I was married and divorced within that same decade. Like I said earlier, I was married at 20 and I was divorced by 27, I think. And then remarried by 29. So I did a lot in my 20s. It was filled with a lot of activity. I will say that. But I am just so thankful that I'm in my 30s and I'm at the kind of tail end of my 30s. I'm 37 now. And so I've learned a lot. I've lived a lot. And if there were things that I could go back and do differently in my 20s, it would be these 10 things. Number one, you cannot control other people. I had the hardest time with this, and sometimes I still struggle with it, but I've definitely gotten a lot better. Where in my 20s, I thought that I could control people. You know, with my ex-husband, I tried to control him so badly. And I've said this in a previous episode, but controlling people is actually not real. Like you can't actually control people because they can do whatever they want with or without you knowing. And so with my ex-husband, you know, I tried to control him so much. And what ended up happening was that I pushed him away to hide things from me and not feel safe enough to come to me about things. And I wouldn't recommend that. So if there is a lesson that I would really want the 20-somethings to know, it would be that you cannot control other people. Just let them do what they're going to do. And as long as it doesn't affect you, you know, let them go. Number two, have an open hand with your friendships. The amount of friendships that have come and gone in my 20s and even into my 30s, but in my 20s has been a lot. Again, you are a child coming into adulthood and you are learning about yourself. You're learning about the world. You're learning about healthy relationships. Hopefully you're learning about all sorts of different things. And there are going to be friends that don't mature. There are going to be friends that expect you to stay the same. There are going to be friends that want you to get caught up in what they're doing. And just there's going to be friends that will fit you into a box that they've created for you. And if you no longer fit in that box, then they're done with you. And again, that's still happening in my 30s, but it definitely happened a lot in my 20s, and I let it affect me. And I tried so hard to fix those relationships and those friendships. I tried so hard to be what they needed me to be or what they wanted me to be while abandoning myself. And so with your friendships, have an open hand, because let me tell you what, when I got divorced from my ex-husband, I lost a lot of friends that we had together, which is perfect. I was really sad about it at first, but now that I'm where I'm at now and have the friends that I have now and have the community that I have, I am so thankful that I'm no longer with those group of friends. And it's no shade to them. I'm sure, I would hope that they have grown and matured and are just much better than we all were 10 years ago. 10 plus years ago. But I just can't imagine having still been friends with them now. Because we are just so, that phrase of you are like the 5 people that you hang around. And looking back at that time, like I would not want to be like we were then. And so God will replace your relationships and your friendships with something better. Just have an open hand. People will come and go, and you need to let them. Number 3, your opinions, your needs, and your desires matter. They all matter. You deserve a seat at the table as well. For me, I was such a people pleaser, and I talk about this all the time, but I was such a people pleaser that I was so scared to share an opinion or what I wanted if it was different than everybody else, because I didn't want to upset anybody possibly. Show up. Let your opinions be known. Let your needs be known. Let your wants be known. And if people can honor them, great. And if not, okay. But at least let them be known. Don't hide away. Don't shy away. Don't abandon yourself or make yourself small for other people. Show up. Number 4, go to therapy. Go to therapy. Even if you don't think that you need therapy, you need therapy. Trust me. And the sooner that you can get it started to work through childhood issues, we all have something from childhood. We all do. Like, I promise you. I had a great childhood, but I have stuff from my childhood that affected me, and it affected the way that I showed up in my relationships and in my friendships. And so go to therapy. It is one of the best ways that you can invest in yourself. I promise you, when you go to therapy and you work out some stuff, it'll make you so much more mature and ready for future relationships and friendships. And just for yourself, you can know yourself better and just be more in tune and in touch with yourself and your needs. Go to therapy. Find a great therapist. And if you don't know one, ask around. And if you need help, I'm happy to help you. But go to therapy. Number 5, God is not a mean punisher, and you don't need to hide from him. I don't know if you've grown up like me. I know the church has kind of shifted a lot in the last several years since I've been a teenager and in my 20s. But I was taught that God cared about following the rules. And so I was really good about following the rules and staying away from the things that I wasn't supposed to do and doing the things that I was supposed to do and dressing the way that I should be and all of that stuff. I was very caught up in the rules and the legalistic parts of the church, whereas I didn't have a relationship with God. And so there's one thing that I can tell you is that God is not a punisher. He's not mean. He's not waiting for you to mess up. He's not looking for you to mess up so he can punish you. He's not like standing there with that lightning bolt ready to strike you dead. He's not those things. He is the most kindest, gentlest, loving, comforting, protecting, providing God ever. He is amazing, and He wants a relationship with you. So stop trying to put up a front. Stop acting like you have it all together. It's okay if you don't. He actually sees it all. He can see through the mask. He can see through the fake. He can see through the facade. He can see through it all. Run to Him. Pursue Him. Yeah, God is good. Number 6, boundaries are necessary. They're not mean, nor are they controlling. But grace and boundaries can coexist. If I had learned to be a boundaried person in my 20s, I can't even imagine what my life would look like right now. I can't even imagine how much differently my life would look like. You know, I told you earlier, I was so scared to share an opinion or what I wanted or what I needed. I was terrified. And there were things that I did that I should have never been a part of because I was too worried about what other people thought. Because I had no boundaries. I didn't want to lose people's love. And so I just did whatever. Instead of standing for what was right, instead of standing for, what was right, I abandoned myself and I abandoned God for years, for a lot of my 20s. And I'm here to tell you that you can be a person that is kind and loving and firm and boundaried and graceful and gracious and all of those things. They can all coexist. And you will attract the right people that are supposed to be around you. Number 7, you cannot fix other people. This is something I'm still learning in my 30s, but this was a very extremely hard lesson to learn in my 20s, that you can't fix people. People are going to do whatever they're going to do. And if they don't want help, if they don't want to change, there's nothing you can do about them. Then you get to decide how you want to show up in the relationship or the friendship. What you look like for them, how available you are for them, how much access they have to you. You get to decide that. But if somebody doesn't want to change, if somebody doesn't want to get better, they're not going to. No matter how much you try, no matter how much you give them money to hope that they will change their habits, that they'll get out of debt, that they will go to rehab, that they will do the right thing, until they're ready, they're going to continue the same patterns. And so the sooner that you accept people for who they are now and not their potential, the easier your life is going to be. We can love people. We can love people from afar. We can love people as they are, and we can love people and support people when they're ready. And this is one of the hardest things for people that are like me, where you're a fixer, because you see how life can be if they just made this decision, or if they just turned away from this, or if they just stopped doing this, or if they just did this. Their life would be so much better. But for some people, the crap that they're in, the junk that they're in, the situation that they're in is their normal. And that's where they find comfort, oddly enough. And until they're uncomfortable enough to make changes, they're going to continue to stay. in that same situation. No matter what you do, no matter how much money you give them, no matter how much you show up for them, no matter how much you encourage them, they're still going to do it. And I don't want you to hear that we abandon them, that we don't help them, that we don't pray for them, that we don't love them. Like, I'm not saying any of that, but I'm saying that there are ways that we can show up that are supportive, but not enabling. And the sooner that you learn that, the better your life is going to be. That kind of goes with having boundaries in general, but number 8, direct, clear communication is kind. It's kind. Have you ever been around people that just kind of beat around the bush, or they're too scared to tell you exactly what they're thinking and feeling? And you're like, come on, like what? Like, I want to know exactly where you stand on something. And they're like, well, I don't want to hurt your feelings, but it's annoying. It's immature. Be direct. Direct communication isn't mean. Assertive communication is not mean. It's telling people exactly where you stand and how you feel and what you think and what you want. Clear is kind. Healthy, direct communication sets you up for success in all areas of your life, with your family, at your job, at church, with your friends, with your spouse, everybody you come in contact with. Direct and clear communication will set you up for success. I promise you. Don't be afraid of it. Number 9, don't chase people. Man, I did this so hard in my 20s. I chased and I chased and I chased. I think part of me found my worth, my value in other people. And so I chased men and women, like female friendships. I chased men and I chased friendships, begging people to stay and always being available if they dropped me and then were ready to come back to me. I was always ready. I'm like, okay, yes, I'm ready. Thank God. Thank you for calling me. Thank you for texting me. Ugh. Oh, saying that out loud just really gave me the ick. Like, it's so cringy that I was that way. I was like a little puppy dog just waiting to get called over. Ugh, it's terrible. Don't chase people. Find your worth and your value in God. He's the one who deems you worthy anyways. And it's only because of God that we are who we are and we have what we have and we do what we do. And that we're actually like alive, you know? Like, God's kind of behind all of that. And so he deserves it all. We should be chasing him, because when we get so lost in God, it's not going to matter who's around us, because we're surrounded by God. We're surrounded by God and his heavenly army. I'm thinking of that song, Surrounded. It may look like I'm surrounded, but I'm surrounded by you. Love that song. We are surrounded by God, and that is all that matters. People are going to come and they're going to go, but God stays the same forever. He's always there. Don't chase people. It gives desperation. That's exactly what it gives. It gives desperation that you are looking for people to fill a void inside of you. And it comes off that way. I still remember when I was in bars and clubs and I was creating these scenarios, I was creating these situations where I would get the attention of guys. And then I would like go after them. I would chase them. It was so disgusting. Don't be that person. You are worth so much more. Trust me. Number 10. It's okay if people don't like you. It's actually good. It's actually good if people don't like you. And if people don't like you, it's usually not about you, because other people's stuff isn't about you. The amount of times that I took on people abandoning me or leaving me or rejecting the friendship or putting me to the side while they went and did other things or hung out with other people and then came back to me when they were bored with other people. The amount of times that I was so upset and so hurt. And I always took it on myself as, what did I do wrong? What's wrong with me? How can I be better? I never ever thought about how it could be them. It could be something with them. Like, what is it about them that keeps leaving and like going and coming back and leaving and coming back? Like, what is it about you? Why are you like this? Why do you lie? Why do you hide? Why do you whatever? Instead, I was like, what am I doing wrong? What is it about me? How can I get better? Like, how can I change myself to be more of what they want? Nope. Not anymore. It's okay if people don't like you. It's actually good. We don't want everybody liking us anyways. So those are the 10 things that I wish that I could tell my 20-year-old self. If I could go back into my 20s and do it all over, I would show up in those ways very differently than I did. It's cringy. Well, anyways, I hope that that helps you. And I am just so honored that you're here with me. And if you haven't already, subscribe, like, share this episode with a 20-something-year-old that you think that this will encourage and help in their journey. And I'll see you next week. Bye. Yeah.